energetic pattern inside of us, and they can be used to heal the body or specific organs. They can be used to change mental patterns so that we can move into higher states of forgiveness or self-love, begin to diminish self-doubt or shame or wounding that happened to us, in this world. And they also evolve consciousness. So they increase spiritual states of being. So almost everything that we can imagine in the human experience, there is a configuration, an energy pattern that can be done with crystals to re-imprint the correct pattern onto a pattern which has been misaligned.
I need to let you know that I'm afraid that people are having trouble with your audio.
Oh, okay.
Could you put a headset on maybe? And you guys, as she bends that away, you can see right behind her, there is a incredible structure. It is a crystal bed. It's a healing bed that she does crystal arrays on your physical body on it. And it's actually almost like a sentient being. And I don't know if we'll get to show that. But and in behind her, you can see on the left-hand side, that's a huge slab of selenite. The art on the walls are art that she created after she had her awakening. The one in the far left is a metal. It looks like hair. It's absolutely beautiful. The one in the middle is part of her art that's I saw it and saw what I saw when I had my spiritually transformative experience. Only hers are squares, mine was waves. And then you can see, you can see a little bit more stuff, but there's crystals everywhere. And then that bed is, I think you said it was a ton. It took a lot of people to move it into that room. When you open the lid, it actually can be, you can see metal wire actually lighting it up. So sorry about this. I guess the audio wasn't. Okay. Well, again, let's see. Do you find the headset?
I can't find it. I usually have a headset. I do have problems with steam rooms sometime. I'm going to try to project my voice. Is that any better? And it looks like I see I'm lagging, so it's my energy. Let me see if I can ground myself.
Yeah, it's a little, there's like a high pitch behind.
It sounds okay from over here, Kathy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't seem to be experiencing any issues. I'll watch on. I'll listen on YouTube and see.
Okay, people were just saying. Oh, okay. So somebody's saying my audio is bad. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry because I was hearing a high pitch, but maybe it's just me.
Wow, okay. We got all these crystals ringing.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. Okay. So, Crystologist, you had a grand awakening, which shattered everything, your marriage, everything. And you didn't walk in the desert for 40 days, but you could have, right?
I actually did spend 40 days and 40 nights. It was very biblical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the deserts of Utah alone, yelling at God mostly and weeping and crying. But eventually higher self came in and began to guide and lead and teach me. And that was when I was first led to crystals, in fact, was in the desert. And it's a very resistive, epic story as my human ego slowly dissolved and spirit slowly came in. So I'm glad nobody witnessed it.
Oh, good. That was before I met you. Well, so people come to you if they come physically, and they can lie on that bed, and they can lie for as little as half an hour and be refreshed and renewed. What is the energy that they get. The reason why I'm setting this up is that it's not, when someone works with you, they're getting the whole shebang.
Yeah. So the energy of just the crystal bed restores our cells. It plumps them back up with energy. And what happens is a lot of our electronics deplete the energy out of our cells. So imagine kind of a balloon which is partially diminished, right? And it's kind of blip, 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 right? You know? And the crystal biobed, the orgone generator crystal biobed, refills the energy in those cells and they plump back out. And when they're able to plump back out, they actually become more resistive then to EMFs, to disease, to everything. So in other words, it optimizes the cells on a cellular level. Now, when you build a crystal array on top of that, and what you can't see is that bed makes out into 3 times its size to hold these large arrays, then we are tuning it. So the orgone generator crystal biobed is the energy source. It's the power, right? And then we're directing that power through crystal circuitry to accomplish very specific things. And we are carbon-based, and crystals are carbon-based. And so they look at us or feel us, and they're like, oh, you're a liquid crystal. I know crystals. Oh, that's not aligned right. And they realign it correctly. That's what they do naturally. Quartz crystal naturally aligns energy to its highest potential. And we use it in all of our electronics because of that. You know, we call this the age of technology, but in all of that technology is a crystal chip, because we need it to clean up our broad spectrum, messy battery and electrical energy. And so we have to run it through a crystal. And by doing that, that's how we're able to run that energy into very fine miniaturized electronics without blowing them out. So we're basically using that knowledge now to return the body, the mind, and the spirit to its optimum operating capacity and potential.
So you discovered, well, you were led, and you got the download, and you actually did it to make that bed.
Yeah.
And it also energizes you. It energizes that whole building. It probably energizes that whole block.
Yeah, it's quite powerful.
It's quite amazing. But even what I wanted people to understand is that that energy that's generated creates a field that others can benefit from too. When Angie does readings or does classes with you, you can be uplifted tremendously by the experience.
Yeah. And the students in the Inner Passage Mystery School describe it as almost going to temple, right? Like they feel that energy actually at the bottom of the stairs, and it's kind of a game they play where they measure it, right? And it's like, I felt it on the second step. I felt it as I came in the door. I didn't feel it until halfway up. What's happening up here? You know, and they report in every class where that wall is, because there's a wall of energy you directly pass into. So
that's so cool. So so you have, as you were a student going through and downloading all this information, you've created ways to help others understand their superpowers. And do you want to talk a little bit about that? I know several people that are totally transformed from working with you. Do you want to talk about that a little?
There's a lot of context I could put this in, and I'm not sure exactly where to head with this, but I think one of the things that inspires people the most is to learn how to do healing or develop psychic abilities to make their life easier, to come back into flow and be able to manifest. And these are things that are all part and parcel of the mystery school tradition. But in order to achieve them, we have to clean up a lot of the trauma, a lot of the beliefs and misbeliefs that we had. We're kind of society and culture fills us with a lot of junk, and it keeps us in high states of distraction and basically running around filling our basic needs and collecting collections of shiny objects. And so we need to clear a lot of that out to make space for further light and knowledge and transformation to happen. And it is based on high frequencies. And so if we have a dim sludge around us, that light can't penetrate. And if it can, it doesn't really have anywhere to go. But if we can start cleaning that out, cleaning our field, our auric field, our biomorphic field, and eventually in the mystery school training, we start going into ancestral language, past lives, soul families. We're just cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, because the larger our auric field becomes, the more we can hold light. And the more that we can hold light, the more our life transforms and the lives of those around us transforms. And the lighter we become and the more consciously aware we become, okay, and that is of the multiverse, of the many realms that exist in the same place as us, not just the materium. The materium is the physical world of material objects, right? The materium. But there's a lot of unseen things that we don't have the physical eyes, touch, hearing, basic senses to perceive. And we have to use our psychic abilities to perceive. And when that begins to happen, divine intelligence becomes attracted to us and aware of us. Our higher self begins to embody and indwell, and the divine connects in and begins to live with and through us. And this is not unknown. This has happened throughout humanity to a small percentage, and in sometimes a much larger percentage of humanity. And let's see. Learning that silence of mind is where it all begins. That's when we begin to allow space around us for that infusion. And that's where we begin in the mystery school, is we begin turning kind of our earth house, our body, cleaning it up to become a divine temple, and then begin the exploration of the inner realms. The inner realms are a dive into the heart. And much like a toroid, we dive into the heart and out into the multiverse of understanding. And that comes back as knowledge of how to navigate in the materium with spirit-inspired and spirit communication of how to do that best. So in a world of hacking and always finding the easy way, the easiest way to live as a human is with the guidance of spirit, spirit-inspired, spirit-infused. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it was fantastic. So, Ange, I also want to let people know about your psychic abilities, because for you to be their guide and their support, I want them to know your capacity to see. And I also want them to know that anything you do with Angie is like a love bath. You feel bathed in love and caressed like you just don't get anywhere else. So could you give us, I don't know if you want to talk about the experiment, or if you want to talk a little bit about the scientific proof of your work, but.
Oh, right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. So one of the things you learn in the mystery school is that consciousness is non-local. Okay. Now, the body is local. The mind is local. Meaning it's here at this place. Okay. Consciousness itself is not. it comes and goes from the body physical as needed. And you can learn how to direct that. You can bilocate, in fact. Before I go into the work I did with Colorado University, I want to tell a quick little story about my financial advisor. So we had some things that we wanted to look at, and she was doing some research for me. And she got an email saying, that I was going to be on a talk or something. And she decided, well, I'll just listen to that while I do this research. And because I don't really understand what Angie does, and I'm curious, and I want to be connected to her energy as I do this research. And so a little bit into the talk, she had to look away from her computer and just go, oh, I need to focus. I need to focus on her voice. And she did. And as she did so, she said to me, she goes, I don't know how you did this. And I don't come from a world or an understanding where this is possible. But I'm here to tell you, you suddenly were in the room with me, and you took your hand and you closed my eyes, and then you held my head and my face in different positions, and you made my migraine go away. And then you took one hand and you placed it on my shoulder. And it's the same shoulder where I had that hip surgery, which was hurting really bad. And when you did that, all the pain went away. She goes, I don't know how you did that, but you were really here. Now that's called bilocation. We can do that because consciousness is non-local. Another little story that she told me the other day when we talked is she said, you're not like anybody I've ever known, but I'm curious. And I've been paying attention, and I've been taking notes for the last 5 years I've known you. And I want to say that everything that you've said about what was going to happen in the marketplace is 95% correct. So that's somebody who is not of the same understanding that I am. They are a rather, they live in, I don't even know how I want to say this, but with the same understanding that 90% of humanity has. And then they have this extraordinary experience, which will shift her paradigm, right? So going back to the university experiment, that began with a random number generator and an open call. And the idea was to shift the numbers that the random number generator put out, either up towards nines or downs toward ones, and you got to choose which way it was. And the random number generator is just going to kind of put out, whatever the medium is, 4, 5s, and 6s. And so you have to influence it up or down. And a number of people told me about it, and they were like, oh, you should do this, Angie. It's so easy for you. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then it came across often enough that I was like, oh, you know what? I've got some time in my schedule. I'm going to go see what that's about. I'm going to go play with it. It is actually very easy for me to do. And so I went, they showed me what to do. I did it. I influenced it. There was 10 experiments doing it the way they wanted me to do it. The last 10 experiments, I got to do it the way I wanted to do it. And so I actually really got to experiment now at my level of understanding. And I rocked that. It was really awesome. And it was so exciting, in fact, that they decided to design a whole nother set of experiments based on my abilities and what they'd seen. And that set was to jump to the future, read some numbers, bring those numbers back to the university. And basically, I was looking at lottery numbers, which is a messy soup of energies. And there's a lot involved in what that's all about. But I worked for about 3 months doing that for the Colorado University, and we had fascinating results. We won the Powerball a few times, not the big lottery, but we did win the Powerball, I think, 3 times. So yeah, that was very fun and it was a great workshop for me to at a deeper level to get to put into practice what I already knew. And I learned some fascinating things, like quantum computers cause little tears in the space-time fabric. Definitely. We actually had to move where we were doing the experiment out because they had a broken quantum computer. It wasn't even plugged in. It was in pieces, and it caused little rips and tears in the quantum fabric. And I kept getting pulled into them when I'm trying to read the numbers to report back. So it was a fabulous learning experience for all of us. Oh, I can't hear you, Miss Kathy. You're muted.
Thank you. You almost mentioned something about time during that experiment. Do you want to share anything about it that you could go and look at the numbers, but you weren't sure exactly where you were jumping?
Right. We ended up having to set up a kind of like a target, like a lamppost, so that I could report that back to know if I was in the right timeline. Because for the first month or two, I was getting correct lottery numbers, but from like 3 months in the past. And so there was a narrowing down process as, consciousness learned to navigate the time-space continuum under a human understanding based on the Gregorian calendar in a 24-hour day. So...
Well, the reason why I wanted to shed light on your talents there was that I want people to know working with you is an adventure and an experience. You got very high marks on that research project with the University of Colorado in Boulder.
Well, in fact, the adjunct professor who was writing the experiments, he, after working with me, has now begun his own evolution of consciousness. It started awakening him 3 months with me. So,
really?
Yeah, isn't that precious? Yeah.
Yes, that's so cool. Well, the ripple effect, it's contagious, I guess, huh? Yes. So okay, so you have this incredible relationship with crystals. You have this incredible skill at seeing the bigger picture. And even if you don't see it, you have the ways to see it.
Multiple tools to get there. Right.
Yes. And you have tools that are right on. That's what I want to make sure people understand. And then you got the Antonian Stone.
Right.
And you received it in my office. I almost got hit by it. I was sitting right there and he threw it at you. But I could see it and it looked like an egg. So do you want to talk a little bit about what the Antonian Stone is? Because you guys, I want you to understand Angie is capable of holding these frequencies of light and use them for healing for the betterment of all. And so this gift was given to her because of her light.
So the Antonian Stone is a 12th dimensional device. And I've actually taken it to other psychics and just said to them, what's in my hand? And they've described it. So huge validation of both their abilities as being a psychic and of what it is. And it looks something like this. It's about this size,
Yep.
About this shape.
Yep.
And I see it as being red with yellow dots on it. And the yellow dots put out energy which turn blue and turn into a holographic image. And it's blank until I take somebody's blueprint. So if you hold your hand up near mine, I can get an energy blueprint, and that prints out on the holographic screen. And I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can turn it around and move it, look at it from different sides. I can see where issues are, where the DNA needs repaired, or, a hip, or whatever it is. Repair that essentially on the third level, but it's happening on a holographic screen that I see, and send that back to you. And it allows that to repair itself. It remembers what the imprint is for correct alignment and potential. And so it's a very amazing healing device. So that's the Antonian Stone. And then sometime later, a year later, they gave me another one that's embedded. Oh, I forgot. They gave me a couple more little stones. I would call them like upgrades or download packages or apps. Apps they've added to that as well. And then they gave me another stone right here, which allows me to beam codums, which are energetic prints. We can just call them light codes. Light codes is a good word for it. Directly to people. And there's a large series of mathematical formulas which create these light codes, these energetic patterns, and they're very, very specific. And then, I don't know if you know about this one, Kathy, but on a camp trip, was it last year? I think it was no, it was the year before. I'm not sure anymore, time and space, whatever. Another group put an implant in right here.
Oh.
And I knew I had a big bruise there. So this is a physical implant. But I just couldn't figure out what had happened with it and whatever. It would go away in time. And in a session with the Palladians, they were like, who did that to you? And I'm like, what? They're like, who did that to your arm? Who put that in you? And I was like, this bruise? And they're like, yes, that's an implant. Who did that? And what does it do? And I was like, I don't really know. And they're like, well, it's causing subcutaneous bleeding. You have about 3 days to get it out. We can remove it for you if you want. And I was like, let me find out what it is and who did it first before we go pulling it out. And so I did some investigation and I ran some verification through some other people that I trust, their psychic abilities as well. And we kind of all came from up with the same thing. It was from a group, from a planet in the Orion Belt. I forget now. I almost have to look it up. But what it does is it creates a beam that can be narrow as a knuckle or as wide as my fist that I can use to scan people. And it removes blocks to healing. So it's like a light scanner that just kind of removes all the blocks that would stand in the way of somebody healing. So it's from a different group of our star brothers and sisters, but it actually works in conjunction with the Antonian Stone. So that was really nice. So I chose to keep it, actually. And later, yet another group came in and added, and I learned this like on a radio show. I was on another show when this happened. But another group came in and they put like little beacons, a few of them in my body and some of them out in my field, and then some of them at higher levels in my auric field as well, which basically say no more implants into this one. And if you do, they have to match this frequency. And it's like a 9th dimensional frequency. And so apparently I'm now walking around with, alarms from yet another race of star brothers and sisters saying no more implants in this one.
Wow. So the codiums that you also get to use with the Antonian Stone, how do they work in conjunction with it?
The codiums don't work specifically with the Antonian Stone.
Okay.
They work with the beamer, which is right here. And you load them into the beamer, and then you can send the energy directly to someone.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So it's nice. And they gave me another way to do it too, where we build an 8-ball. It's a pleb of energy. Pleb is a Palladian word, okay, but it's this like little ball of light that you load the codes into, and then you can deliver it to a whole group of people at once. And I've done many people at once, potentially thousands of people at once. Wow. And that's very, very useful. That's probably what I use the most, actually, of the gifts from the Palladians. I probably use wide distribution of codums the most.
That's exciting. So I would love to, so now that you all have an idea of all the gifts that Reverend Angie has, you can see that this is somebody who could guide you to learn about your metaphysical self and use everything, the gifts that you have been given here on earth right now in this change. There's no coincidence that you're here now. There's no reason to not wake up. So do we want to talk a little bit? I can put the picture up for your mystery school if you'd like. Would you like to go to that conversation real quick?
Okay,
Okay.
let's do that. Let's talk about the resurgence of the mystery school. So mystery schools are ancient traditions, and they go back to the dawn of mankind. We can trace them back to the Lemurian Empire and forward into Atlantean times, into the modern era. In Lemurian times, all the people lived in balance with the mystery, coexisting with nature, nature spirits, and the divine and the great knowing. Lemuria was a matriarchy. In Lemuria, we lived the mystery. We were born into it. It was the way. There was no separation from it. We were it. We could describe it almost as a Garden of Eden, where God walked with man. After about 250,000 years, Lemuria became so large that many different ideologies had developed. And in one area particularly, a whole new culture developed with slower vibrations, as opposed to the rather etheric Lemurians, which were living simply in the flow. In this culture, thought patterns sprung up that were based on material understandings and inventions only, with very little spiritual inquiry, but with a deep fascination for the physical world, scientific inquiry, and material development. With the rise of Atlantis and its great material dominance, patriarchal ways, and left-brain intellect, it brought war to Earth's humanity, as the left-brained Atlanteans sought to destroy the right-brained Lemurians. The war between the matriarchy and the patriarchy waged on, and in its wake, only the Atlanteans survived. The matriarchy and 250,000 years of spirit-inspired civilization had fallen. The Atlanteans, in their 80,000-year reign, grew drunk on their power and their discoveries, their human intellect, inventions, materials, chemical manipulations of Earth's material. They had forsaken the natural affinity and knowledge of Earth, of the other realms, and lived only in the physical world, and their dominance and understanding of it was paramount to their civilization and their culture. They also lost their connection to the vast collective consciousness of the galaxy, which the Lemurians had lived in as one for so very long, and from where much of my knowledge came from, of crystals and many other things. This is connecting to consciousness far beyond just the planetary consciousness. In the Atlantean epoch, few retained moral direction and certitude, as their experiments and explorations took completely over their mind, and the mind took over their bodies and their experiences here, and they subjugated the natural spirits of the world to their domination. In roughly 8,000 years, the Atlantean Empire fell to her own lusty material splendors and the sorcery developments that she had created through her inventions of power. Precious few pockets of Atlanteans retained with morals and ethics and with connection to the divine, but those few did preserve and carry the mystery traditions through Lemuria, through Atlantean culture, and into the modern epoch. The fall of Atlantis marks the third or fourth or maybe even the fifth epoch of humanity. It depends how far back you go and who's counting. That's where you're going to come up with that. So the mystery school tradition and right brain balance and spirituality have survived into this epoch. And we stand now at the threshold of a new experiment of humanity. Some of us are desiring to carry our most ancient and sacred collected knowledge forward into this new age of Aquarius. Traditionally, mystery schools have been reclusive and generally hidden. They were only for the called and those who were specifically invited. Throughout the ages, the mystery schools have hidden in plain sight. The initiates of those schools are known as the elect, the guardians, the protectors, the light bearers, the teachers, the mystics, the sages, the healers, record keepers, magicians, and the watchers. There's been many names and many religions and many cultures for them, but they have always been present, an extreme minority in humanity, but have carried the flame from the dawn of man forward. The ancient decree of the mystery school has always been know thyself, and that's carved above the entry to one of the most known mystery schools of the modern epoch, which was the temples at Delphi and the oracles there. And that know thyself has always been there to remind the initiates what they're there for, to answer the great questions of who am I, what am I, where do I come from, where am I going, and what is my purpose? The teachings of the mystery schools are referred to as wisdom, enlightenment, and the esoteric teachings have been shared throughout all the ages of humanity. Carefully crafted, the teachings were taught externally to the masses in parable form, and esoterically to those ready to look deeper inside the soul. The lessons are first taught to the mind, then experienced through the heart, and eventually they become a part of the soul's blueprint, carried from life to life and added upon eternally. The mystery school presents the core concepts of universal wisdom. The teacher helps the seeker to remember who they are and find whatever is already inside of them. The essence of the mystery school is the inner temple, created within the heart, the mind, and the soul, which then connects to the higher self on the spiritual planes. Mystery school trainings help purify the ego so that one can manifest their desires and needs from a place of pure spirit, acting from love, and a place in which fear holds no ground. Students in the mystery school increasingly become sovereign and stop turning to the materium for wisdom and guidance to live in the materium. Instead, they turn to higher self and divinity to sort out the next step, the next phases, and their own soul purpose in the materium. As the student begins the process of knowing, or gnosis as it's called, an awakening, each step leads further inward, gaining momentum along the way, leading to the rebirth of the soul. This alters a person on all levels. It's like a caterpillar becoming a chrysalis, becoming a butterfly. Once the steps are taken, they can't be reversed. You can't go back to being the old way you were, thinking and relating to the world the way you used to. You are in a new state of consciousness. So the teacher holds the information in their field of what it is to be an awakened human being. This amplifies and speeds up the student's discovery of their own inner knowledge and the collected wisdom of the soul. The teacher gives the scaffolding of the mental constructs and ways to practice, which open the passage to the inner realms and the inner knowledge which is there. Most of the early path, though, is removing traumas, woundings, beliefs that hold one's progress forward to a very sluggish pace. That develops into removing traumas from family lineage, as I said early, past lives, soul family, so that the energy body can be able to receive those light frequencies. Those frequencies from the divine and of light penetrate and shift a person towards forgiveness, love, and compassion for self and other. And the higher consciousness is activated and draws near, and the universal energy becomes aware of our presence and begins engaging with us. This is where the crown chakra opens. This leads to direct connection with the divine and a close, beautiful relationship with our higher self. During this awakening, a series of alchemical changes occur both in the physical body and the auric body to receive energetic transformation and informational downloads. Energy is now directed in and around the student, and now their clean and expanded auric field enhances the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. Before this infusion, the heart, the body, and the mind have only been perceived and able to hold a small amount of energy, limiting their experience in the human realm with energy going towards basic survival, family relationships, outside relationships, with precious little left over for creating and exploring in inquiry. The new connection and energy flow expands the aura so that it can receive and store more light, working as both a container for high frequency energy and the energy source of it. This is why people have so many experiences when they are inside of my field. It shifts and alters and gives them new blueprints and ways of being. It also acts as an antenna, bringing in unseen information in many forms, such as intuition, foreknowledge, ability to discuss situations and choices with the higher self, healing oneself, healing others, direct communication with beings of higher frequencies, extraterrestrials, light beings, remote viewing, clairvoyancy, telepathy, psychometry, empathic skills, out-of-body travel, bilocation, many psychic abilities, just to name a few. This becomes a profound awakening for the student that is timeless and as relevant today as it was in the ancient times of Lemuria. The awakening can be slow and gradual, with little disturbance to one's sense of reality, just a gentle morphing from one state of knowledge to the next. Or it can be sudden and rather profound. Until recently, mystery schools have been hidden in secretive institutions. The teachings of the mystery schools were maintained by oral traditions and sometimes called the schools of life. These teachings are rooted in shamanic and mystic ways of wisdom. One of the more ancient schools in this epoch, there's been many, is the Essene traditions, as rediscovered in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Later iterations of this became the Christian mystics, but all traditions in all countries have had a core of mystics, not seen by those not ready to see, not heard by those without ears to hear. Early nomadic tribes the world over were far more in tune with nature and the energies of the universe. They had a sense of connection with it all, and they lived the cycles of life. These tribes were generally matriarchal and understood the balance of life that they were participating in. With the dawn of agriculture and civilization in this epoch, humanity shifted towards a path of control over nature and personal consolidation of wealth and power, controlling one another through laws and social mores, and creating haves and have-nots, much as the Atlanteans had done. This shift has brought with it a desire of those empowered to diminish the old ways, whose ideas and ways were community-based and self-organizing collectives, and are resistant to being dominated over, for they turn to spirit alone. This caused huge migrations of people as they fled to lands where they could still continue to live with nature and the divine as one. Many, though, were forced into submission and enrolled in a system that disconnected them from nature and the universal flow, focusing them to fill roles that built machines of wealth and industry that befitted only the few, while turning the rest into hourly wage slaves who sold the prime hours of their lives in exchange for the currency of the day. A story we know well, right? Those who practiced these mystical traditions were persecuted, tortured, and even killed to prevent the world from knowing their true origins and abilities. For people empowered by the divine cannot be easily subjugated to the harness of the ruling elite. This happened again and again in history. The more recent historical events we know as the genocide of the Cathars, the Inquisition, the Salem witch trials. This aggressive destruction of the ancient ways and those who practiced them peaked during the Middle Ages. But today there are many forces on the planet who would eliminate all traces of this knowledge from the earth if they could, and yet others who would twist it and twist the knowledge to their own dark purposes, and they do that. Had the mystery schools been entirely destroyed, though, I believe they would have resurrected again and resurged yet again, as this knowledge lies in our very DNA, waiting only for the silence of the mind for it to bubble up again. As human beings, It is our inherent knowledge. And we can return to this anytime. We are truly so much more than this body and this mind, this personality, and this collection of anecdotes and stories which comprise our memory. When our spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy rotated, getting closer to the energies of the galactic core starting around 100 years ago, new energies began to be experienced by mankind. How are we doing on time? You doing okay? All right. The mystery schools began to open up more to meet the need as people began to feel more, experience more, and desire more. Due to the massive shifts in energies occurring on our planet over these last 100 years, with waves of energy from the galactic core coming in, hitting our sun and our planetary system, which have also responded to those waves, we've had several significant spikes of higher vibration energies. One spike was December 21, 2012, and another one happened again, December 21, 2021. We are now in the time of the quickening. Many people have begun to crave more than the instant gratification set before us as a distraction, which keeps us from discovering who we really are. Take a drink. Certain lockdowns in the last recent years have awakened the next wave after the 1221ers, and even more people now are seeking to understand their soul purpose, seeking higher meaning and quality of life. They find modern life with its fast pace and thousands of streaming entertainment channels, 9-to-5 drudgery, instant gratification, collection of shiny objects, fast food, and precious little time and space for silence, to be soul-sucking. They now seek the ancient knowledge which leads to freedom, liberation of the soul, and lightness of heart, and good health. On March 25th of this year, in just a few weeks, the Kali Yuga ends and we move firmly into the age of Aquarius. By April 20th, new energies are reaching us which will cause a further evolution and a new understanding of what to be a spirit-inspired human is. Downloads are going to be happening nightly in our sleep, assisting with this transition, as all species in the multiverse will be updated and upgraded throughout the month of April. And this happens every 12,500 years. Then, although we've been in transition for a few years now, this is a quickening with each passing month. The Pleiadians call this time the rising. By May 21st, the new conception of how central intelligence, God mind, will be integrated into humanity and all species will become more apparent. In former upgrades, plants and trees began to express themselves in new ways by creating flowers. Previously, there had been no flowering plants or trees in the fossil record. That happened very spontaneously about 12,500 years ago. It's going to take humanity some time to sort out how all this is going to land and what the new language of consciousness is going to be and what mankind's new way of being will be in the world. These evolutionary energies coming in from the cosmic center point have already had a profound effect upon humanity. And just in the past 2 years, humanity has diverted into two separate paths of possibility, two separate different evolutionary paths. For the first time in history, interestingly enough, part of humanity has forked off and chosen a second path of potential evolution. Many members of the human race have chosen a new experiment in evolution via gene-altering medical technology. This group will explore the transhuman path and have their own experience with how that evolves or devolves. Perhaps the marriage between mankind and technology will lead to incredible leaps of technological evolution of basic needs, giving humanity more free time to grow and expand and explore. And it may devolve into what could be called the techno-feudalism landscape. We just don't know from here what that's going to look like. On the other side of the Aquarius potential, it's all about self-organizing collectives, connected social networks to sustain life and meet the basic needs of people, while living with respect for nature in an age of integrity and truthfulness, with sovereignty and dignity. The unaltered part of humanity will be moving into the higher frequencies of the Aquarium age and developing new ways of being. The hallmarks of that are going to be love, unity, commonhood, integrity, self-realization, and self-actuation. This fork of humanity in many ways is going to return the sacred relationship with all life. How are we doing, Kathy?
Well, we're done. I'm afraid I tried to. I don't know if you could hear me.
No, I couldn't. So I'll just.
Okay. Yeah, I kept. Yeah, so I just came on. But I do want. There are comments and questions. Stone Hobbit, nurturing self-development through the recognition of the symbiosis relationship with the organic and consciousnesses. That's perfect. And here we go. Anders, lots of mystery school knowledge is starting to surface. That could be a significant indication of some huge shift coming on. And Mick asked A. Omar, which I guess I'm Omar surrogate here. Could you ask Angie what the best crystal for healing nerves is?
I think there's one better, but I'm going to recommend red calcite. Oh. It heals tendons, ligaments, and bone. And I think it's going to work with nerves as well. So this is red calcite.
And there's red calcite in the bed as well, right?
Right, absolutely.
Right. Okay, so Ange, you've offered a beautiful free gift on your website. I put it in the chat. Are there other ways that people should get a hold of you to be able to work with you?
Really, the best way to contact me is through the website, which is www.crystolarays, ARRAYS, or by email, which is crystolarays@gmail.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I want to encourage everyone to go to Angie's site and see all of the beautiful gifts that she has and consider how it could help you through all these changing times to empower
times. We are in exciting, thrilling times, actually.
Yes.
It's a roller coaster ride.
That's perfect. Here we go. And one more question. Angie, are there any connections between the mystery schools and Plato's investigations in metaphysics?
You bet. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ange. I can't wait to see you again soon. And thank you so much. You're such a gift to all of us. Thank you, dear.
Thank you all. It's been such an honor and a pleasure to spend this time with you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Whoop. I was trying to...
We're doing it at the same time, Kathy. It's all right. It's back and forth, back and forth.
That's okay. It's like ping pong.
That's
okay.
That was
thank you, guys.
Incredible information. Thank you, Kathy. She's amazing.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
See you soon.
See you later. Oh, yeah. Soon and tomorrow, too. Bye.
Yeah. See ya. All right. Next up is one of my good friends, Eric, deciphering my experience. Eric J. Hecker, currently residing in Alaska. Eric is a self-educated research investigator that takes from many odd life experiences and connect with others. Eric was raised on Long Island, the home of now famous Montauk Project. His childhood included being part of the Stargate Project, run by the CIA and DIA. Later on, he had an experience in the submarine service. Following that, he became a plumber for some of the wealthiest people in the world back on Long Island. In 2010, Eric took a contract to work at the South Pole Station for a year. Always an avid researcher, it was not until Eric began working remotely throughout the state of Alaska that he started making connections that his own life may not have been what he thought it was. Without further ado, let's bring in Eric J. Hecker. Eric, brother, how are you?
I am doing fantastic, Rob. How you doing today?
Absolutely amazing, bro. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's
but
been
I'm
quite some
excited that
time.
you're here. It has,
I'm
dude.
very happy. I think last time I was on, I don't think I even got to chat with you last time I was on with you guys.
I think
it
I was
with
out
Greg.
that day. Yes, I was out that day because there was always stuff going on when we do these little events and all back end stuff to do.
I feel for you guys. I can't believe how much goes into these events just from like what I know, and I just talk to one person. So when you guys are doing, we have to dial this on, and this is, exponential beyond exponential labor. So thank you for everything you're doing for the movement,
bro. Thank you.
Totally
bro.
understood.
Thank you. What you're doing, bro. Your website is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Classified documents to videos. I mean, you've archived everything. Not only that, you have a lot of cool stuff on there, like CBD stuff. I mean, it's everything. You could find it's a one-stop shop over there, bro. So, I'm going to alleviate myself from the screen. I'm going to be here. So when you need me to jump in, call me up, brother. I'm right here.
Oh, well, no worries. Don't go far, because like I mentioned to you, I got short legs today. It's been a very long week for me. I had a new gig, so I'll do the best that I can. It's going to be hopefully a dialogue, Rob.
Let's do it.
But,
all right. You want me to
let's
stay
do it.
on the screen with you?
Yeah, you might as well. Let's just hammer this out, because there's some topics that I want to throw out there. But a lot of the stuff that I do, it really has a need for me to understand the feedback from the people that I'm putting this information out to, because that's one of the things that I'm really learning is challenging, as I'm sure that you're learning as well. It's one thing to present this information, it's another thing to have this information absorbed, right?
Absolutely. You could say it all day long, but there's certain thresholds at which people retain that information. So
right.
I absolutely understand this. So go ahead, man. I'm here.
Cool.
Let's
so this is like, I want to try to get this all dialed in, hopefully in some sort of exchange, because I need to learn more. I need to learn how to get my information out better. And I think this is the perfect dynamic because you are also presenting.
Well,
so, as an example, I was recently on a television series called The Alaska Triangle. I was in season 2, episode 9. So these are facts of the matter.
Congrats, bro.
Thank you very much. But this is bittersweet victory, so to say.
Okay.
Because it turns out I learned firsthand through my experiences that I decipher that they wholly edited out the truth.
Oh, they probably butchered it to no end.
To the point of deception. So the whole pretense of the show was that I was asked by the producers to go out to an area of Alaska called Ketchikan, Alaska. And that they wanted me to, because of my experiences in the submarine service and other things in my past, they wanted to know if I would be able to help them find what were reports of unidentified submerged objects and or secret submerged facilities. I told them, absolutely, I'm all in on that. I'm game. Let's do it. So
sounds amazing.
Yeah, I was like, this is a
chance
chance of a lifetime.
And there's a production team paying for the whole entire endeavor, so it's go time.
Absolutely. Yep. How could I turn this down, right? So I jump on this, and I go out there. We film everything. It's fantastic. We get out on a boat. I'm there with the camera crew, the captain of the boat. We have the hydrophone to go into the water. And, some spots here I don't hear anything. Some spots here I don't hear anything. But bam, next thing you know, we get a solid hit for which I'm reporting everything that I know. I'm like, boom, we're on something. We're recording the sound. I got the captain of the boat with the headphones. He's listening to what's going on. I got the camera. I'm making sure that everything's getting caught and going on camera. Not one bit of that went to air.
Tell the people what the hydrophone is.
The hydrophone is an acoustic device that is connected to the recording device that we had, and we dropped it down into the water. We killed all the electronics, everything on the boat. We could tell the difference from when it was on or off. I mean, this was the whole point of the show, was to go out there, and they wanted me to find stuff. And
it's
it turns out...
It's like a sonar, almost. It's sort
absolutely.
of like a sonar.
It is a sonar, correct. It's a passive listening device for underwater. It's just like a microphone in the air, but for underwater. That simple. And we found stuff when we were out there. The producers of the show then edited out all of the information of me finding anything. They exclusively presented the audio from the points where I said I'm not getting anything.
So it
And
made
then
it
they
look like you went out there and literally did not accomplish what you accomplished, and you actually got zero evidence as opposed to actual
They gave
evidence.
me zero credit for finding the sound. What they did do is take the sound that I claimed didn't have anything in it anyway. They took that sound, brought it to an audio engineer professional to have it investigated, and then when he started washing it out, they made up a show around what he did.
Wow. So explain what you heard and
You
how it's
got it.
significant.
You got it. It's significant because it's a sound that everybody's actually heard before. It's going to be familiar, which is very interesting. So when you're getting into underwater acoustics and things like that, I mean, there's all kinds of natural, organic sounds and things, but the distinction for things that you're looking for underwater is stuff that's unnatural. Certainly, anything that is repetitive, mechanical, or extremely frequent. And the sound that I heard, clean as day, got a clear recording of it and had witnesses hear it. It just went like this.
That's indicative of some sort of exhaust, probably.
Something
Or a
mechanical.
propeller.
I would say rotating would be my first thought.
Yeah.
Some reciprocating something. Either way, it's too repetitive, it's too loud, it's too crystal clear, and it was too close to facilities that they already know are in proximity.
Wow. That's wild. That's wild. So what
Yeah.
happens with this evidence now? Now that they're not putting this evidence on, do they let you keep some of this?
Well, define keep. Like, I don't
mean,
have any of it. It was their production.
Right. So I'm saying they have it trademarked. It's all to them. You can't even get access to it now if you wanted
Right.
to.
I don't even have access. Right. I was just in front of the camera. I didn't get to touch anything.
Wow. That's crazy. That is so
Yeah.
crazy. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it seem like by only their design or only their extra work, they've come up with something that's so remarkable that it actually happened during a previous, it's like it's misinformation on a sense of not being genuine with the process. They're taking it an extra step to say, hey, look, we had to take it to this guy and clean it up, because if they didn't do that, they would show you that it's so close to being, I don't want to say being discovered, but it's so prominent in that area that anybody can find it.
I would say it's full-blown disinformation.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's full-blown disinformation because they had the truth and then they twisted it away from everyone. They made it harder for everybody. They made everybody think that it was harder to find this stuff than it truly is.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at, because now the people like me and you who don't have a production budget will try and go out there and figure out how that evidence came to be, or at least try and replicate what you did to get that evidence. Now, if we think that we have to go to some other guy now to clean all of it up with expertise and pay all this money, we're a lot less likely to go out there and try that. So is that the reasoning why they're doing it, or are they doing it because they're nefarious? There are other nefarious reasons.
I can only put all of these things on the table and just see which way the cards fall, because when people are being dishonest, it's hard to know their motives. There's a lot of factions. There's a lot of factions throwing a lot of options on the table. All I know is that I know I had a truth, and I know they kept it from everyone else. And I mean, like, this is why you do what you do. This is why I do what I do. Is that this is my experience that I have to let people know. Like, this is the third time that a camera crew has followed me around, and it's the second time that it's gone to air, and it's the first time they really acted like they weren't going to edit the snots out of everything.
Was there ever a moment that you caught anything while collecting this evidence or with this camera crew that you saw that was kind of a miss, or like a hit and miss? You know what I mean? Like anything else you saw that was kind of suspicious?
Yeah, actually, just as out of the ordinary, we were out in these islands off of Ketchikan, Alaska. So it's remote.
Right.
And everything was desolate from construction for the most part. There's, some teeny little shacks on the edge of the water here and there that people probably use for, subsistence hunting and stuff like that. But then out in the middle of all of this vast, nothing, gorgeous land and water was like this huge, like almost like Las Vegas looking casino just sitting on an island. And I said to the captain, I said, what the heck is that massive, like, hotel-looking thing over there? And he said it was a casino on native lands, that it's a really high-end, super fancy, luxurious, hardly anybody knows about a casino.
Oh, wow. That's going to be nice. I would check that place out, too, because I bet you there's something else there.
Yeah.
Or some kind of cover that only specific planes are coming in here because private jets end up being here. But that's just speculation on my part.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
So now we know the landmarks, but with the actual crew itself, while speaking to them and interacting with them, did anything pop up to you as kind of funny or out of place? Maybe misconceptions while they were trying to film something? I mean, we see these people who come out here and do these shows, and a lot of the time their agenda is to put people off from the truth.
I would be completely honest. The gentleman that I was working with on scene seemed extremely legitimate and professional. They were gathering info, and I think did an excellent job of gathering all of it. I think the problem was when it got delivered to where it got delivered to is that the power of the edit is one of the things that society really needs to understand. So like this today, what I'm discussing is a perfect example. I found a truth, and they whittled it down. The power of the edit made it not a story. And there's so much truth that's being put in front of people, but it gets whittled down to the point that it's not what the truth was in any way, shape, or form, and people are not seeing that nowadays. There's a real big lack of discernment going on.
Omar's asking from the back, didn't you also see something similar happen in Antarctica? Maybe with the submersibles or the underground bases?
Well, I have confirmations. I have confirmations through John Warner IV, from his father, John Warner III, who was previously the Secretary of the Navy, and he has confirmed that Operation Deep Freeze was also covering for secret submarine bases underneath the ice, and that those operations were specific towards space operations. So that's from former Secretary of the Navy, and yes, John Warner IV reached out to me so that we can make these connections, because there's a lot of truth to what's going on, to what I'm saying about what's going on in Antarctica, and this is what I was saying to you before, is I'm trying to figure out how to get people to absorb my information better, because I don't know what to do with the fact that I've done these things, I've seen these things, I'm, like you said on the website, I have truth, I have documents, and I'm trying to put it in front of people's faces, and hopefully not have to be in the disclosure movement forever, but I'm going to be in this, because people need to know the truth. The more and more the shenanigans are going on this planet, it's really getting disgusting.
It's wild.
The amount of apathy that I'm seeing on people's faces is just enraging me to, like, it's fueling my fire to be like, you guys got to be kidding me. They don't
even want to see it now a lot of the time. And here's the thing is that this is another question I want to ask you about this specific situation. If this was to be proven in the way that you presented it or the way that you investigated it, what impact would that have either regionally, for the state, or globally? What do you think would come if this was told the right way?
Oh, I think it would leave every single person watching the show, if it was told the right way, if they just simply presented the truth as the storyline played out. We sent Eric J. Hecker out here to locate a sound and see what we can find, anomalous events. Well, then what do they do when the question gets answered? Eric J. Hecker found a sound under the water right where everybody was predicting there was going to be a sound, and we sent him out to find it. He found it. So then the question now falls on the feet of the viewers. What do they do with the fact that we can so easily go to any music store, pick up a Zoom recorder, take out the cartridge that it comes with, order the hydrophone attachment, and go dip it in the water and start listening.
Or a GoPro and get a camera down there as well. It would require
but maybe
investigation.
I can only speak for the equipment that I had my hands on. That stuff apparently worked.
That's so wild, dude. I mean, that to me, that's huge. That's huge.
I think it's massive too, Rob. This is, they're withholding the information. So to me, it takes all of these shows and it puts them all in question. I mean, not for nothing, it's great entertainment, but we really truly need to understand that this is television programming. We're being programmed, and whoever's flipping the bill to produce it is giving you the story they want you to see, they want you to know. As history has shown us, I mean, there's a lot of people doing great talks on your shows and on your channels with great regularity about things from the past and what we're learning. And I think it really shows that humans are very programmable.
Oh my God, so much so.
And other people seem to be very organized with that tidbit of information, and they're working steadfastly at programming us all day long.
Every second of every day, to the point where even when you give people this information, they're receiving it in a certain way because of that programming. And here's the other part of this too, right? Now, if we were able to go down a path of investigation and prove that there is some sort of submersible base or submersible type of craft down there, that leads to exploration across the world under the ocean. And we know by the government, and this is going to kind of be a connect here, by when the government came out and said that they want to do the UAP, USO, all of that narrative, that was also the same type of smokescreen where they're going to tell you, well, we don't know what these things are, but if you go any further, we're probably going to arrest you because we're the ones doing the investigating, not anybody else.
Right.
And this is this grand deception of cover. And even them telling your story, but not in the right way, is a part of that applicable cover. And it really is disheartening that even people who would seem so genuine to put it out there can be manipulated into editing it a specific way that seems disingenuous.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe there's even a potential for some more compartmentalization of information to be involved. I don't disbelieve that on the production side, where the editing floor is, that those people could be separated from the truth in a way. They could be told a story so that they don't even know that they're editing out the truth. They could be looking for something else in the storyline for all they've been informed. So this is how higher-ups can manipulate, the rest of the herd.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, how can we alleviate this by getting some sort of either that footage or that sound being played without having to go out and replicating it? Now, when you joined in on this television program, you of course had to sign either a NDA or a contract with them stating that you may not either acquire some of the evidence. Is there a way judicially that we can get that evidence to you, footage or sound?
It's a great question, but you're gonna get a kick out of this because you're gonna see how this works. Every time a television production company has ever attempted to work with me, the first thing that I've noticed is that they're a foreign entity. So that increases the legal obstacles, I'm sure you can understand, exponentially.
Of course.
So this production company was in England.
Okay.
So they have all the stuff there.
And to get that, you would not only have to get New York, you would have to get Alaska courts involved. You would have to get the Royal Crown involved.
Yeah, that's a bridge I cannot cross, Rob.
I know that. I know. But I'm trying to.
Not at the way my PayPal and Patreon rolls.
No, me neither. Listen, I wouldn't be able to do it in Alaska. Never mind all the way to England. I couldn't get the Alaskan side of it. But it is what I see. I hate hearing this type of information just to go, and now it's by the wayside. So the next step would be a replication, to get out there again and replicate. and then you could project your own show in a sense of look at this. Remember a long time ago when Ancient Aliens first came out, there was that gentleman who was on it says debunking ancient aliens. It was like a YouTube channel forever until the History Channel, you know, they got their hooks into it and was like, no, you're going to either prove them right or you're not going to be on the air anymore. And this is where kind of we get into this dichotomy of law and rights, right? But I would think that you know, with the amount of following that you have, which is a good sized following, we could probably get something together where we could pedestal this and say, look, these people aren't right. They're not. They're lying.
I would love something like that to put them on the spotlight, so to say. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that, Rob. That's a great idea. That's you know something? I'm an old-fashioned plumber in my mind. I don't think of the power of the digital realm, but that could be something to pressure these people to release the sound.
Of course. And
release the actual audio.
Are they putting it on television or are they putting it on a application where they're streaming to that application, as in that kind of television?
This already aired. It's already aired on television. November it aired, and now it's available. You can get it on any streaming platform.
Right.
So it's already out there.
Eric, what's the season and
it would be
I'll try to find it.
You got it. It's Alaska Triangle Season 2, Episode 9. It's also the only one they did no advertising for. I was following.
Which is wild. What?
Yeah, I was following, and they were advertising and doing marketing for every episode. Just like anybody would normally do for a production, right? Hey, tune in this week, tune in this Friday, tune in this. They were doing it for every other episode. They never touched mine with an ad.
Have you ever tried to reach out to some of the other experts on that show and see
oddly
how
enough,
they were handled?
The sound engineer that they used is apparently here in my town, and I would love to go have a chat with him.
Have you tried contacting him at all?
Not yet.
Not
yet, but I want to.
Yeah, because you know what? I mean, even with him or maybe somebody else that they pulled in, you may not be the first one that they've done this to with other types of evidence. And you can collate together and say, look, this is me, that's him. We've got it all together. What do you say now? Now say something, because now it's a court of public opinion. It's no longer the court of law.
But I totally understand what you're saying, Rob. The reality is I'm doing things like you're saying like that, and people are hating my guts in the disclosure circle for this.
Why?
because I'm stepping on people's toes, because I'm challenging people, because I'm not just agreeing with everybody.
Well, that's also because there's probably a major name attached to whatever
exactly
show this is, and of course
any of these shows.
Instead of going against the information and getting the information proper, you're going against him and his name and his brand, because it's no longer about the info. It's about the potential of the person and the monetary value of that person.
In a way, I'm actually going against that whole industry right now as well, because what I did also just outed that industry.
Oh, absolutely.
So are all these other shows not just as guilty?
Of course. It's just like when you go to watch the paranormal shows and they're like, oh, do you hear that? Do you feel that? Like, there's nothing there saying that those people are exactly seeing, feeling, or whatever they're doing is not substantiated by
evidence. My camera's moving. Is it a ghost?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
And we see that more times than not, right? But to call them on it is to call their brand. And so you're probably in that same predicament.
I'm totally calling the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm totally calling the brand on mass media disclosure at the moment because of my experience.
We have 36 people watching now. Let me ask everybody out there a question that's watching. And I want an honest answer. Would you prefer a show that tailors the evidence to make it look more exciting, or would you prefer the proper evidence be put forward and then you could have a confidence in that show for what they do and what they represent? That is an honest to God question, because some people like the entertainment. They love it. But some people, I would rather sit there through a boring show and watch the actual truth come out, the evidential truth, and then be like, wow, that was kind of satisfying because we got there. The proper evidence. See? Proper evidence. Truth.
Rob, you can handle that stuff because you grew up with Geraldo Rivera in the opening of Al Capone's vault.
Yeah, literally. And we've seen him in the diner down the road. Like, that's how close he is to me. And that man is all deception. all deception. You know what I mean? There's nothing true about Geraldo Rivera. But and even when he gets on TV now on Fox, they're like, he's just so far in his own world. It's disgusting. But you know, but this is what we face in the truth community.
Yes.
We're taken off platforms. We're censored. They take our information and they twist it and turn it so there's no longer our information anymore. It becomes something else, and that's intentional. There is a program behind that. There is an agenda behind that, because we can't be the arbiters of truth. Rob Yox and Eric Hecker cannot be the arbiters of truth. If we are the arbiters of truth, then the experts have no legs to stand on. I'm not formally educated like some of those experts, but I bet you if we go into certain subjects, I could talk circles around them, because they've gotten to this point in mainstream sort of science that's lazy, or mainstream history that's lazy. They don't want to see all the sides and rewrite history or rewrite the science book. They want to maintain their cover by what they've been working for 60 years. Personally, if I was working in history and we found some new archaeological evidence that changed the entire paradigm of history as we knew it, I would relish in that fact, and I would make sure that I wrote about it, even if it wasn't from my point of view or it was me who collected that evidence. If it's substantiated. You get what I mean?
I totally do. That makes me wonder how many times the withholding powers that be have come across information that would be, you know, global paradigm shattering, and they're like, oh, let's just tuck it away. That would undermine our control. Just tuck that away.
Of course. And this is also part of our agenda on this side of the aisle of exposing and putting the light on all of this deception. Because once the first barriers of deception get brought down, and we talked about this a little bit last night with old Dharma God, and once we eliminate the first wave of barriers, we can start tackling those other barriers that come into the history and the science, and really set right the indulgence of actual and factual truths and evidential based conversations, so we can expand our understanding of those situations.
I totally agree. And it's one of my other gripes as of late, is that I feel like I'm trying really hard to throw my hat into the ring with real experiences, real proof, and things that could be substantiated. And I am religiously behind the scenes. I haven't been producing a lot of content lately, because I've been attempting to collaborate with all of the big names in disclosure that are talking about Antarctica and South Pole Station. And you know what I'm finding out? I'm getting the door slammed in my face everywhere I go.
That's too much information. You're giving them too much.
I'm not giving them any information. They know my information. They don't want to talk to me.
Well, that's what I mean. You're putting out their information that's
I send an email to a big name researcher that talks about being huge into Antarctica. I get a conversation with said person, and then I get discounted for being a plumber, not a physicist.
Oh, see, this is where we get into that realm of.
So now, yeah, this is lunacy to me, because now this is to me, it's a gatekeeper.
Of course, and
it's
listen,
full-blown gatekeeper.
You don't have to be an expert to understand. Everybody's got to understand it. Just because you're not an expert in said field doesn't mean you can't research that field enough where you can either be classified as an expert or have a working knowledge of what is.
Yes, and not for nothing, in the grand scheme of the topics that we were discussing, I was open to any line of questioning, and I feel that I would have been able to stand fast with any question, with the right answer, but to just have somebody discount me right off the bat without even posing a question, just to me spoke volumes.
And that shows you that those people are not in search of the truth. They're in search of that monetary truth.
Correct. I think there's a lot more gatekeeping going on through the mass media, like I learned through the power of the edit. I believe that we have a lot of folks that are in these researching circles that, much like industries of old, we are told, are hard to root out with the new technology because they're so entrenched. I think some of the researchers and disclosure folks from old are so entrenched that they either lost their ability to discern, or they've become in such proximity to the devil that now they're dancing with it.
Oh, that is the second, dancing with the devil, I think is actually what is the definition of what's going on. Because a lot of people, when they start in this sort of investigations and looking into conspiracy, and you get gung ho, because after a little while you start to unravel things a little bit, and you're like, I understand it, and that understanding kind of shoots your adrenaline up, and you're like, yes, now I've got to prepare a presentation so I can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to these 20-year guys, and they're like, yeah, it's just another one, but it's never just another one. It's always somebody else's being affected by those other ones. Right. And the people who are really in it to win it and to figure it out are eventually. I don't want this to become of us. I would never dance with the devil, but I don't ever want to get complacent in my ability to research either. I want to be able to explore the entire topic. So hearing this is like it's like putting a bell in my head for 10 years down the line. Like, humble yourself, get yourself back to square one. Remember your roots. Make sure you do it diligently, properly, and vet everything. And this is just wild to hear.
And make sure that you listen to people that have truths. Don't get hardened to it. That's, I think, what's going on, is that I think they've become somewhat self-manufactured know-it-alls. Absolutely. And now the digital media so easily supports those egos.
Totally agree. And then we also have. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. And we've also witnessed, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but James Rink recently got bamboozled by some folks. And I don't know if you're aware of that, but I'm
not. Tell us all.
Oh, okay, you got it. So James Rink is a really nice guy, and he's doing a lot of diligent, hard work in the program to, get disclosure out there. But with that being said, he got tricked. So some dudes showed up to the 5D event in Vegas when we were there, and they were shams. They were acting like they were SSP veterans just to show how easy it was to fake an experience and trick a researcher. They did it. Boom. There we go, folks. And again, there's COINTELPRO type stuff going on. And how do you, as the listener, really know? How do you know when someone presents a whistleblower to you that is true or not? Because so-and-so said, well, I vetted them. How do you know what do you know their vetting process? I've spoken to some people myself that, I almost went to air with, and they have zero vetting process. They don't know me from a hole in the wall. That happens. So it's nerve-wracking to me.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so the audience, I question, how do they know? And then it concerns me because I know my experience. I know I can document it. I know I'm putting the truth out there. So I wonder, I lay in bed at night and I go, how do I get people to understand that what I am saying is true and what somebody else is saying is a sensational story?
It's difficult. It's difficult because they have these plants in every facet of research. And they're there to dissuade you from going out and saying your story because
dissipators.
Yes, it makes you sound fantastical or speculatory, and it's not. It's not. It's something that has happened. And I think when it comes to that discernment of who these people are, it's a resonation thing. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the information and we stop listening to our feelings too. But at the same time, you can never really tell if somebody is a fake if they're good enough at faking what they know. Right? It's very difficult. If somebody comes in with SSP, and I'm not an SSP person, so I would ask you to vet them, or Penny, somebody that has a lot more area of expertise than I would. So I could never vet an SSP person. But if we start talking geopolitics and who knows what, now I got a leg to stand on. Now we can have a conversation, and I could say to you, well, I see where you're coming from, but... So
totally understood, and this is why I'm coming guns blazing from the topic of South Pole Station. I spent a year there, and I know a lot about what's going on there, and I'm getting really frustrated at all the people that are discussing this topic with people that won't give their identity, not one inkling of evidence that they've actually been there, but they have a fantastical comic book-like story about UFOs and aliens. I'm not against any of the possibility of there being UFOs and aliens in Antarctica. I think it's highly likely. But I'm just intrigued as to how the massive amount of people believe a story that absolutely 100% can't be substantiated, and they won't listen to the information that I'm giving them, you know, which effectively tells them that there's an electronic weapons gun to their head. You know, they want to talk about the potential threat of aliens when I'm like, hey, listen, but there's a real directed energy weapon that's up and running since 2010.
And it's literally at your face. And if you turn around, you'll blow your face off.
It's pretty much telling the whole world they probably need to be putting something on their face digitally.
Right.
You know,
some kind of Faraday cage to make sure you don't get hit by it, in a sense.
Something, yeah. You know, well, I mean, whatever we need to figure out. But you know, it's like what is it? Alcohol Anonymous is first you have to admit there's a problem.
Exactly.
I'm trying to get the whole world to know that there's probably the world's largest directed energy weapon system sitting right at the South Pole Station. And every time I try to speak that topic, wherever I put that direction, I either get edited or I have some gatekeeper show up to try to change my story and make it align with theirs. And they go, oh, so what you're saying is this. No, I'm not trying to support your story. I'm trying to give you more information. I thought you were a researcher.
Right.
And then when my research doesn't support their predetermined story, all of a sudden I'm just a plumber.
So see, now you're starting to see an underlining pattern to what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want another question is, what actually ended up happening at 5D once these people tried to fraudulate what they knew? And I'm sure it had some sort of effect on the entire thing of because they must have come out and said something that was damning.
They produced a well-produced YouTube video explaining the whole intrusion and subterfuge and deception. They really went for the jugular on James.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. And I'm sure he took a hit for it too, which really sucks.
I'm sure it probably broke his heart. I mean, the kid tries really hard, so it's like that's not what he wants to happen. You know, he's trying to do good things.
People will do that, and that's terrible. That they would want to come and do that, and then make footage out of it. That's
right,
really that's not really good people.
And not for nothing, just from what I saw of the folks. I mean, as soon as they walked into the room, I was actually up at the dais. I had I think Tony Rodriguez was on my left, and I am not kidding you, Rob. As soon as these two characters came in and started setting up, just prior, Tony and I had been discussing, like, you know, that feds come to these things and probe and blah, blah, blah. As soon as these two guys came in and started setting up, I grabbed my notepad right there and I wrote right down on it. I said, camera guys are feds. And Tony looked over and he laughed and he was like, you're right. And it was those two guys. And it wasn't that they were feds, but I figured out that they weren't legit.
Right.
And they were actually they were from Canada, I think, and they just came there to be deceptive and lie and infiltrate and do their thing. And I actually think 100%. I think 100% they targeted James because they said how they had been, you know, looking into this and researching and, you know, getting educated on so that they could infiltrate, right? I think they just straight up went for James because James is a nice guy. Like he's the easy gate to walk through. He's not the gatekeeper. You know, he's not the guy that's like, hey, you, blah, 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 you know. Yeah, if those guys came in my direction with baloney, I probably would have been more belligerent with them than James would have been, which is why they didn't bark up my tree.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, too, is now that these people have done this, they're not just doing it to James. They're doing it to the entire community. Because now anybody who comes out and says anything remotely close to what those two gentlemen either said or reported on in their specific or was basically shown in those movies are now completely discredited, which means that these people who have an ignominious truth, they're not able to get it out there. And that hurts the community as a whole. Even for any kind of disclosure, any kind of further advancements in what we know is coming from people who are in the SSP, like med beds and different types of technologies that are being reported that are in space being used, that's coming back here and actually furthering humanity. And this is a tremendous problem.
I think in a way, I believe that there's a high probability that these folks represented a faction, that they're aware that James is extremely high in the circles as far as having a following. So he's a target. He's a target. His information's a target. So I think they were just trying to, make him look bad, make the whole, disclosure movement look bad, and do a lot of undermining. And that's what factions do as well. And what we witnessed in this activity was the power of the edit in real life.
Yes.
I mean, they could literally walk into a conversation, which is the SSP disclosure, and through deception, they just edited the whole circle, because now there's this doubt cast into the room.
It's a shadow. It's a shadow on all the information. And you're right. They just did a full self-edit in that room. So, and anybody who is particularly participating in that is now called into question, which, I really, that stings me. That hurts me, because I feel like there's a lot of us out here who can't be classified experts, but we know enough to hold a conversation and really get people to listen and understand. And if we're discrediting those people at every avenue, there's going to be none of us left. None of us left to do the work. And I think that's truly what the agenda is.
I think it's a lot of it.
Yep, you're going to subscribe to this basic narrative that we're going to give you, and if you fall outside of that, now you're done.
I think taking it a step further as to the nefarious, evil ways of whoever these overseers are that we need to figure out soon, is that this has to do with the digi world and the separating us as human beings. I think the literal physical distance between us is breaking our ability to discern from each other. Through a digital environment, it's too easy to learn how to deceive each other. And it's this lack of integration as a society on a regular basis. We're losing the ability to trust and discern. And that void is being filled with deception. And this is blatant. This is so blatant.
Huge point.
We need to interact as humans.
Of course, from a text message, you cannot discern a social cue.
Right.
You cannot discern body language. You cannot discern emotion, which gives you context for the entire conversation. And this is where people are getting taken advantage of.
How many people have ever taken a text out of context or gotten come on, is that like the most common thing? You get a text and you take it the wrong way?
All the time.
Or you write a text and someone takes it the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. There's no emotion. I can tell everybody. There's no emotion behind a text message. It's just plain information. I want you to read it monotone, and I want you to understand it in monotone.
We're being broken down as a people in this method. There's people that know this, just like, there's people that know how to break an animal on a farm. Well, we're on an animal farm. This is 1984. This is a prison planet, and we are not the wardens. We are not in charge. Pay attention to what's going on in the last few years. People are not acting of their own free will and accord. They're acting by direction and fear.
It's exterior stimuli, and they literally control every thought and every reaction, counterpoint, point. They literally control the entire board, and that's why it's important for us to understand those programs, because when we do that, we're able to maneuver in and out of specific programs that they lay down, create our own program, but also use their programs to literally destabilize their entire narrative and their entire cohesion of programs throughout the day, just even on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, God only knows, just what we're talking about today when we're talking about misinformation, the power of the edit, the mass media. I mean, how many half-truths, mistruths, disinformation spots could you count if you actually just sat in front of a screen and that was your goal, was to count as many as you could?
I see Stone Hobbit in the back. She's like waving her hand up like, I know. Stone, I'm bringing you in for a second because I think you got something
feel
to
free.
say. Here we go. Stone, you're muted. Unmute and let us know what's up.
Hey, Eric. Yeah, no,
How you
I
doing
totally
today?
agree with you. Hey, honey. Good to see you again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. For me, where I've come from, I've worked so hard to tell the truth right through, and it doesn't matter to them. They know you telling the truth, and they work on that. They use that, and then eventually they try to turn it around. They keep you in a stuck state.
Mm-hmm.
When you've had that happen to you so many times and you still stand in your truth, you've only got two ways. You stay in your truth and you keep fighting and you keep moving forward, or you bow down and you take it where they want you to take it. But, we're going to get through this. We've got to push through this because this is what we've been here for. We're here as the truth tellers, and it hasn't been easy to get here. And, I'm listening to you, and I know some of James Rink's stuff, and I know about some of these so-called people going down to the Antarctica and doing this and that and seeking the UFOs. You can't even tell if they've left home. You can't even tell, unless you've been there, you can't even tell if they've actually walked on the moon. You can't tell me how close these planets are, because I haven't been out there. I might have through astral projection and everything else, but as in the 3D form, I can't get out there. So, and if somebody's going to tell me something, there has to be that resonance connection. You know when somebody's telling you shit. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry.
Go ahead.
I agree with you 100%, and it's very critical to my perspective and my experience. It's 100% true. Thank you for the analogy. It's almost like in a way like you would know, either one of you, right? Like the house that you grew up in as a kid, right? So you would know that's like your home. So if some other person starts talking to a researcher about the house that you grew up in, and everything they're saying is off, you would know.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's what I know about my home at the South Pole Station.
Yes.
I was there. It was my home. I hear a lot of other people talking about my home. And they're liars.
Yeah.
I understand no one else will know that. Right? I don't know your home, though, Rob. So if someone was lying about your home or your home, Stone Hobbit, I wouldn't know they were lying. I would just listen to their story about your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more sensational it is, the greater it would sound.
Yeah. Now, you've got to go to the truth. You've got to find that truth point. You've got to ask the questions.
There's a directed energy weapon system at the South Pole Station, and the gatekeepers keep wanting to talk about aliens. That's it. That's all they want to talk about. That's it. It's all aliens, aliens, aliens. That's it.
There's so much more to it.
There's a lot more to it.
Weaponry, the heart frequencies. There's so much more to it. So,
Isn't it wild how the aliens is not the fantastical story anymore? The direct energy weapon is the fantastical weapon.
Yeah.
Is the fantastical story.
Let's jump right to the weapons of war that we have for dealing with spaceships. Let's just cut right through the chase. Aliens are real. We have weapon systems to fight them since the 1940s.
But that sounds crazy now. Come on.
That's where we're really at. Everybody's like, World War III is coming soon. No, we're in World War V right now.
Right. But the UFOs are like, they're probably there. But the direct energy weapon that we've made, that there is literal documentation of their creation.
Yes.
Is the fantastical part.
Yeah.
But the things that we've never truly examined, like in this century or this, in the last 70 years that we know about mainstream or have real documentation on like the schematics of, is not the fantastical one. The weight of it is just...
For 50 years, the Department of Defense was using directed energy weapons against aliens. Now the CIA has taken over this entire program, and they're using directed energy weapons on the people of the planet Earth. That's where we're at right now.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy how we can sit here and say that. And,
UFOs are old school now, Rob.
Yeah. We did.
Blase.
UFOs, come on, bro. We got MK Ultra mind control coming through the TV. That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy.
Hold on, I have to put my mask on. Something just told me to.
Yeah. Wild stuff. No, but that's what they've done. They've turned this into ridiculous world. They've literally turned it into ridiculous world. Things that we know are are now fantastical, and things that we speculate are the truth.
I'm concerned heavily that the gatekeepers of the topics of what used to be considered wildly paranormal stuff is now benign and normal, and those people are trying to keep the conversation down there. You know, as if people don't believe in Bigfoot now, as if people don't believe in aliens now, as if most of the people on the planet have seen a UFO. I mean, it's just everyone's just now discussing it.
Right.
You know?
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So no, it's just it's perfect. It's just we're all waking up to the fact that we've all been deceived on such a massive level. But what we fail to do is honestly communicate it with other people. Stop being afraid to say, you know what? I got bamboozled. The last 2 years, I totally believed all the shenanigans that was shoveled on my plate. Just be honest. Just say I messed up.
It's okay. It's okay to do that and say, you know what? I'm going to start being better from here on out. I'm going to start
Absolutely.
being better.
I'll admit, back in the day, I totally messed up. You know what? I 100% voted for Obama the first time. Listen, I straight up got suckered.
That's okay.
I did.
Okay. It's okay.
I looked at the two guys running, and I just said, which one of these two guys, because I understood the Democrat Republican, co-opting of our government. I knew there's only one of those two guys was going to make it. I knew it was that corrupt already. But I said, which one of these two guys might make it into the White House and turn around and kick the shins of the system that got him there? And it was either John McCain or Barack Obama. There's no way John McCain's going to turn around and kick the shins of the industry that got him there. That ain't happening. I just figured maybe this Barack Obama guy will.
Yeah, and this is another thing I tell people too is, I'm running out of conspiracies here. We've investigated them and they're all coming true. Like, I'm running out of conspiracies here.
Yeah, there's no such thing as
some more, please.
There's no such thing as conspiracy theory. There's just a ton of conspiracies. There's just more and more factions at hand.
It's so crazy how the world is capitulating to this small group, and this small group has done so many different plays on reality that we know that there's extraterrestrial, interdimensional, ultradimensional. There's all that. We know it. It's there. And, that again, I find it so funny that they're like, listen, this technology that we built like 50 years ago, you're crazy. You're crazy.
They were saying back in the 1980s that folks like DARPA and everybody were, they were gaining 50 years advanced level of technology for every 1 year of the average citizen. And they said that's the way that it's been going since then. And I think people don't really spend enough time just considering what that really means.
That's true.
Look at how far we've grown technologically, so to say. We'll just say from the late 1800s until now. I mean, that's pretty much all the technology we have. We go from locomotives to everything we have right now. And that's just in 100 some odd years.
The Industrial Revolution.
Now they're saying in the 1980s that, folks like DARPA were advancing 50 years per year.
It's crazy. And then, just to go back to DARPA, then DARPA's got its hand in everything. What we just went through the last 2 years, 2.5 years, was brought to DARPA. I'm not going to say what it is because we're on YouTube, but it was brought to DARPA first for funding. And DARPA was like, you want to do what? No, it comes back on us. You guys are out of control. And they went off and found somebody else to do it with. But
I never heard this story before, and this is my heart's jumping out of my chest. If DARPA turns it down for being too evil,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I have the paperwork. I have the DARPA documentation that says, you say what now? No, I think we're gonna pass on that one. Thanks.
Someone needs to make some sort of the wildest meme ever, where the devil says something, and DARPA's like, "That's too evil."
Yeah, it's just like DARPA guys like this.
Yeah,
Nope,
That's
not going
I
to do
can't
it.
believe DARPA said something was too sinister.
Imagine. And that's why I'm like, this is what we're really up against, guys. Like, this is what we're looking at right now. And these are the people that are in control, because
Mm-hmm.
this is an extreme case. This is extreme. When they say no, they literally have their hands in everything. Everything from slave labor to child stuff. They've got their hands in
Absolutely.
everything.
Absolutely.
That's how nasty these people are.
Yep. That's not for nothing. Just because, like, in a way, my brain goes to whatever. I mean, in a way, my brain goes to whatever good I can think of. We can make happen. We are creative people. I do believe in all of that. But I believe in the full reality of the universe. I also believe there's evil people that understand
Big time.
They understand their power as well. And they work very hard with their creative things, and they have plans, and the bad people seem to get organized faster than the good people on this planet. It's very unfortunate.
It truly is, because they catch them. Kathy, one of the creators of this event with us, asks, "What can we do to protect ourselves?"
Oh my God, we have to openly communicate with each other honestly about all the stuff that hurts us on the inside. We have to stop harboring those hard to communicate conversations within us to drive us insane. We need to let them out.
Yes. The hard conversations are the ones that shed light on inner perspective, and inner perspective alleviates the need to do harm and essentially take things to a different level where, you know, and in every aspect, there's a lot of different emotional attachments that come with opening up that box within yourself and being able to. And that's what this community has become, is that ability to have those conversations without fear of ostracization or, you know, or being told that you're not right. That's not true.
That might be one of the greatest benefits of this community, is that we're talking about oddball subjects. So I think it might empower people to pick up the practice, because I think that, you know, like folks like you and I, everybody basically, like the vast majority of our lives are benign and boring and similar. You know, you have bills to pay. I got bills to pay. You got a girlfriend. I got a girlfriend. Everybody's got things to figure out. You know, we all know the same stuff. But in reality, we all spend most of our lives talking about the things that we know about of each other.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really accomplish anything, you know? But there's the differences. That 20% of our lives, I think, is where the value added conversation comes from. You know, I want to hear about the things that makes Rob Yox, you know, not the things that makes you the same as everybody else. I want to hear the differences, and I want to hear this from everybody. And I believe that those are the oddities, right? The things that make you odd are the things that you may not necessarily put to everybody. And I get that, but I want to challenge folks that we need to grow from that. We need to get outside of our boundaries and our borders, because it's that information that we're holding in, that we're not connecting with other people's withheld information. It's holding our whole society back. Because we're not sharing this info.
Everybody, I put it like this: everybody has their dots. When we come together, your dots may fill a connection between two of my dots. And when all of those dots are connected, we have the complete and total picture. When we have the complete and total picture, no matter what we're talking about, we can make informed decisions, and we can also inform others upon why we're creating those boundaries or those decisions, and it all is affected.
Then I want to double down on my answer to that one before. What we need to do to fix this is we need to reconnect as human beings. That's as we can see, they are voraciously trying to disconnect us from each other. That's why. They're constantly trying to disconnect us, to divide us, to make us hate each other for whatever stupid reason is of the week. We don't hate each other. We hate them. We hate the overseers. We hate the politicians that are lying. We hate the deceivers. We hate the misinformationists. But other than that, we all love each other.
Well, it's true. You know what it is? It's together we're strong, divided we fall.
Exactly.
Plain and simple.
So that is it. Yep. United we stand, divided we fall, and people need to remember that. It's division is their weapon.
Absolutely.
And decision.
Absolutely. We've got about 3 minutes left, Eric. I want you to tell us all the places we can find you. And then I want to thank you for coming in because, dude, this has been awesome. This got me fired up. I love you. You know, I love you, brother. And I love having these conversations with you. We have to do it more often.
Awesome.
Because this is just, it's exceptional. We had a great run of from one subject to the other, but we captured a lot of good information in the middle of that too, because of what you bring to the table, bro. And I don't want you to stop, no matter if you're facing people that are not doing the right things by you. Keep doing what you're doing because it is making a difference.
Awesome, Rob. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate the time here and the energy that you guys give me, that you reach out to help me get my information out. So thank you so much. And thank everybody on your team for me too, please.
Absolutely.
But as you said, people can get a hold of me. The best place, please go to deciphering.tv. That's my actual home website platform. That is where you're going to get all of the real, uncensored truth as I can find it. I am also on YouTube as Deciphering My Experience, but obviously you're going to have to deal with these censors over there. I am on Facebook. I am on MeWe. And if you want to help me out with what I'm trying to do, because I am building a studio and trying to get the truth out there because I'm tired of the mass media. So deciphering.tv is going to grow and be a behemoth in the truth in the future. So if you can hit me up on PayPal or Patreon or purchase merch at the merch store at the website, or I also have a CBD product that I use, adore, and love. And if you're into health and harmony and balance in your life and you're into CBD products, you can purchase some, and it helps me out.
Excellent. And I'm telling you guys, and we've been putting the your website up in the chats of all the different, we're in so many different chat rooms right now and on so many different platforms, and we've been putting that up for everybody to check it out. I mean, I tell you, it's worth it when you go back and check out the archive and you also look at the videos. It makes so much sense, and it's going to lead you down a path of research on your own, because that's what we're trying to do, is spark that research. So again, Eric, always a pleasure, brother. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here. We love having you at these conferences. You always bring the wealth, bro, the wealth of knowledge. So you're always invited, and we'll talk to you really soon, brother.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You're muted, Omar. You're muted. Unmute.
Right?
Yep.
Again. Thank you, Eric. I truly appreciate your contribution into Humanity Unplugged, brother. That was an amazing talk. Raised a lot of awareness, and I got your back. I support you, and I love you like a brother. And I'm looking forward to doing some more talks with you in the future.
Thank you so much. Oh, and I just thought if you guys could send me a shareable link of some sort, I would love to post it on my website as well, just to put this up even further and farther.
Cool.
Got you right now, brother.
I'll send you a link.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Have a wonderful day.
We appreciate you, brother.
Awesome. I'm gonna go to bed now.
Yeah, get some rest. You've been up 25 hours now.
Yeah, something like that.
That's wild.
It's all good.
It's like us, bro.
Right,
it's
bro.
like us.
Yeah, as I said, I just feel like I'm keeping pace with you guys, so I felt like I had to do it.
Awesome.
Have a great day, guys.
Have a great day, brother.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, so that was an epic talk, Rob. Thank you very much. And guys, go and check out decipher.tv. It's amazing. And check out Eric's YouTube channel, Deciphering My Experience. He's got some wonderful information. And if you guys want to check out what he did at Total Disclosure back in August, that is available in our conference playlist. Check that out afterwards. So my next guest, she's an amazing lady, and I call Starlight Lightworker. Again, I met her at a Portal to Ascension conference that I had attended, and I had listened to Rosa, and I was, really taken back, and we resonated. And then since then, we've really become friends, and we communicate on Messenger quite a lot, and we keep up with each other. And I really want you guys to hear what she has to share. So grab your pens and pads and take some notes, because this is going to be another epic upload. I will quickly read Rosalind's bio here. It's pretty long, so I'm not going to waste any time reading all of it, but I'll give you guys some highlights. So Rosalind Beth Horowitz, aka Cosmic Utopian Rose, that should tell you all. Eternal All Gatekeeper and Unity Ambassador for all star nations in attunement with the Law of One, the Law of Love. Was born on June 10th, 1964 in Brooklyn, New York. She has a very diverse multicultural background, heritage of indigenous origins of Taino Indian tribes, original native inhabitants of the Caribbean region, specifically Puerto Rico, several regions of Spain, Barcelona, and other Caribbean European ancestry, including Ireland, Russian, Austrian, and some unknown. Currently, Rosalind lives as an American Israeli in Israel since the year 2003 to the present, upon answering the call of her soul path and as a gatekeeper, bringing her to the Middle East, Israel, Egypt, where she continues to experience an incredible cosmic adventure, while expanding and aspiring to the highest version of her self-expression of divine creator source, energy, and love, while living a crazy, wonderful, and sometimes challenging multi-dimensional life. She is a higher source, self-channel of the Eternals, having had 3 NDEs and OBEs as well. She is a gifted and visionary, coming from a long lineage of seers and shamanic healers. As an ET contactee and lifelong experiencer, interplanetary time-space traveler, she continues bringing in cosmic, galactic, celestial, central sun, elemental, and inner earth photographic transmissions, messages, light language activations, upgrades, heart chakra openings, crystallizations, realignment, heart coherence to experience greater expansion, here to connect to us, to our cosmic family's higher consciousness. I know I said I wouldn't read the whole thing, but I think I'm going to, because this is epic. Self-awareness and indeed a great contributor for cosmic disclosure. We're not alone and we are loved dearly. Divine creator source works through her. As a sovereign, cosmic, celestial, multidimensional, galactic star being, source, channel, conduit, intuit, receiver, recorder, and keeper of cosmic, celestial, galactic, interdimensional, akashic image video files library of photographic transmissions through the gift of visual transference abilities. Serving the cosmic community as an ambassador for our extended cosmic families, galactic communities, and other whom are indeed an extension of our collective unified consciousness. She continues to work towards bringing the gap through cosmic disclosure and living a human life, and that is human life as a being of her consciousness, reaching out into the infinite realms and that bear witness to the truth of who, what, and all that we are, in loving service as a drop in the sea that carries within the entirety of the sea of love itself, connecting us all through the external, all effervescent crystal rivers of our expensive, extensive, cosmic, galactic, celestial, infinite time-space continuum, expressing the essence of the internal unified life force, field of God, source, Christ, consciousness. Rosalind Beth Horowitz, aka Cosmic Utopian Rose, serving the community as an envisionary cosmic time traveler, being a lifelong experiencer, ET contactee, poet, cosmic commissioned artist, writer, musician, singer, songwriter of cosmic utopian chill out and indie music transmissions, video productions, and other creative works through her home-based production studio Fuse, as an FUSE, full unity signal earth, also providing service through energy transference, vibrational healing, energy work, light language activation, attunement, heart coherence, conductions, and expansion, challenging her source self to assist others through conscious counseling. Those who feel guided by contact Rosalind through the links provided. Sessions are booked through Zoom, Skype, or other on basis availability and intuitive guidance. Sessions also provide one-to-one, discreet, compassionate space for discussion, consultation, advising inner child core, wound healing, energetic realignment, heart coherence, conduction, high vibrational resonators, soul gazing for deeper connection, realignment, coherence, and streaming of consciousness for deeper insight. I am into it. Energy work is real. Together we'll open a conscious, connective awareness gateway for healing, expansion, and exploration. I am here to help you. All energy exchange donations are accepted with gratitude. Now that was epic. I loved it. Okay, well, we learned everything that we could. Thanks for being here, Rosalind. Bye now.
You're fantastic. You took my breath away, and I'm honored. I'm really so honored to be here. I don't know.
That was amazing. I was not going to read the entirety of it, but then as I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, this is like epic. How could I have forgotten? I'm just going to read the whole thing. And now people have like this deep understanding of who you are and what you're about to do for us, and the upload that you're about to give us, because it's not only local, but it's a non-local message as well.
Yeah.
As we descend, into this new timeline, and having purified ourselves with this equinox of 2022, those sacred numbers, we're like creating this new timeline in which we're about to kick ass and really take no names and just create something of love and abundance and acceptance, right, Rosalind? That's what you're seeing.
That is so absolutely true. And the funny thing is that it's how these things happen, because I do channel whom I call a collective called the Eternals. And I think I've been doing this for some time now. And that is how I know them, as the Eternals, because it is the eternal kingdom of the God source field. And in that realm, we would be considered an eternal, which we are all of this place, the same. So that's what we are expanding ourselves into, our eternal souls.
Beautiful.
And I really was sitting, and I really just came, and it just was, I prepared. No, this is never happening like that. We're not just prepared. So what happens is I'm knowing that this is coming up, because it seemed quite sudden that I'm realizing I'm added to this, and I was segued into coming. What day I didn't know, but found out very soon. Here we are. I have brought a message through, as it happens, just before, specially channeled and coming through. So we'll probably have a bit of what feels like a meditation and messages coming through, and maybe some conscious music that I can share from my SoundCloud channel, because it's late at night here in Israel. So I probably won't start singing at this hour because of my neighbors. So let's get on with the show. And I'm so grateful to Omar, Kathy, Rob Yox, Stone, everyone who's participated and made this amazing Humanity Unplugged conference possible. So many amazing gifts have been shared here. And I just honor you all, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. So let's just start with how it came through. And I just want to, there. All right. So greetings, everyone. Let me just move this a little bit. There we go. So greetings, beloved, all as one. As a gatekeeper of the staff and eternal blue flame of Amenti. I am an active channel of embodiment for the eternals and the restoration of the codes within our DNA that would return us as eternal sovereign beings, able to hold this embodiment of light. I was given a message of the heart and the role it would play throughout my life as a very young child, and that it is the greatest gift, the core and center of our strength, salvation, grace, and divinity. We are all here to learn this, what we have in common, the rhythm that flows between us, that carries the eternal message of love. That is how Full Unity Signal Earth Fuse became the symbolic name of my production center, studio, and celestial galactic portal station, where I am in service to humanity as Cosmic Utopian Rose. It's amazing. Sometimes I think we're more afraid of the power of love than we are afraid of the powers that try to keep us from knowing the power of love that we are. With enough love, energy, and pure intention continuously sent out as a signal from the unified heart of humanity, it is we that can bring about the new ageless age of peace. We're not ignoring what's happening all across the planet right now. We are here to change that. The discordant vibrational frequencies that have been causing planetary imbalances, when in fact all of us together hold the force of the entire ocean of love and creation within every drop that fills our sacred vessels and governs the rise, fall, and vibrational frequencies of the entire cosmic ocean's scalar waves. So we do indeed have the power to change everything. And this is the Eternal's message coming through. So we're shedding the old ways. Transformation and rebirth is where we are now. Thus, God said, "Let there be light." And so it is. Many things are coming to light, and we are becoming lighter and less burdened from all that we have endured. Let's say that. So I join you in this momentous happening with such love in my heart for all. I believe in you, us, and as I am that I am in you, as you are that I am in me. I believe in love. Grateful and honored to share this pure love encoded transmission activation. So divinely received are these source codes to assist the upliftment, healing, grounding, anchoring, and the embodiment of love itself for the inner child, divine feminine and masculine, balance and restoration through divine reunion and communion of all souls being part of the one whole, both within and without, above and below, eternal. Opening the conscious connective awareness gateway. That's also another, the name of my other page. You'll find that on Facebook, Conscious Connective Awareness Gateway, because that's what it is. Knowledge is a gateway. And the world that we are all a part of is a massive gateway. Many gateways, many doorways, many pathways. We all travel to reach the same destination. eternal love. So, bridge between divine creator source, the unfathomable, which really stands for, if you take it in Spanish or another language, un is one, fado is mother, father, and mabel is mother. So the unfathomable that you can hardly find a name for or think of really is the unfathomable, one, father, mother, God. Our precious, and this is the connection we're bridging between us, the unfathomable, God, source, and our precious earthen arc star, Gaia, and us, as we come together, remembering we are one whole, organic, sentient, multidimensional, limitless, beautiful soul star of consciousness. We are Gaia. Gaia is us, and we are everything. Love has created our sustainable reality, this morphogenic field that we have to pass through in order to reach the eternal realms. And as we feel, we see, feel, imagine, will, and create it to be all that it is and can be. Shall we begin? This will be kind of like a little meditation and activating the core of our hearts and our beingness, our sovereign beingness, our divine beingness. I truly am honored to be here with you today at the end of this amazing, amazing conference, Humanity Unplugged. We are unplugging. We're unplugging from the matrix. We're unplugging from the system. And as we awaken more and more to knowing who we are, not afraid to be that, to speak that out, things are changing in every moment. So let's take a deep breath. As we take in new light of a higher vibrational frequency, we hold and integrate this as a part of who we are now. And now slowly breathe out, releasing everything. And just feel. Let us open the way to heaven on earth from within the divine sacred heart. The moment you feel your own sacred tears flow, know that I too cried those tears and let go. Let the waters be purified inside and out throughout all waters of creation itself. Have faith, beloved, all as one, for I have no doubt we hold the light, we light the dark. We are divine creator spark, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. So I would like to go on and share with you a poetry from my heart to yours. It's a transmission as well. And it is called Love Without End. The heart has no face, yet it is the guiding force and rhythm that moves the entire human race. Indeed, it is truly the most sacred place. The heart has no knowledge of sight, time, or space, yet it is touched by the warmth of embrace, receiving the signals, whatever we do, acting upon pure free will with no clue, affecting the flow, the balance, the pace, our own superconsciousness, true resting place. Awaken, awaken, dear heart, I would say. We've slept long enough. We have moved from this place. The signal is clear now, and I'm glad you can hear. We're finished. There's no need, no pain, hate, or fear. We've practically done it, made heaven on earth. If only we'd spoken more often of how to rebirth. I'm grateful, dear heart. You're my whole universe. We'll soon find there's no need for hunger and thirst. The world's getting better. We're much more refined, more grateful, loving, gracious, and kind. How could it ever have been otherwise? Look at us now, humanity unplugged, as we go hand in hand. And those who do not will soon find that they can. We faced the unspeakable, thought we would end, and found with at one moment, we're starting again. Let's keep it simple. Like children, make friends with everything, everyone, love without end. And so it is. So it is. So it is. Love. Thank you. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything or Omar, if you
Here,
want to.
I would just, you had me zoned out there. I had to come out of there. That was beautiful. Really was. I truly enjoyed it.
I'm glad. It's what came through, so it's what went out.
I love it. This conduit that you were talking about in your bio. So that was beautiful, Rosa.
So, in that vein of energy, and I know there's many crazy things going on, but it is important that we are aware that, yeah, things are happening everywhere. And we're not ignoring the fact that there are really tough times and that we're going through this transformation and change. And so it is just as important for us to hold the vibration of love and to brighten every moment possible, knowing that that really is the way it is and the way it should be, because this is really a kind of simulation that we're experiencing. And for us to start to understand that we are experiencing a simulation of a kind of reality that feels so real to us, we have it within us to change that. We have it within us to change the waves. The scalar waves are governed by the waters that we ourselves hold within us. We are more powerful than we could ever have imagined. We are so much more powerful together. And we are the ones who can create the changes necessary to experience a beautiful planetary existence and unity. So there's no more messing around, and it shouldn't be all doom and gloom. Although our hearts do go out, and I'm saying this, our hearts do go out to everyone across this planet right now who is experiencing the harshest part of this transformation. We thank you, we love you, and we embrace you, and we honor you. Yeah, there's nothing like just being authentic. So whatever's coming through, we're just going to let it flow. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, everyone, for your amazing comments and messages. And my makeup's running, and that's okay. We're here to be real. I like that.
I love the raw emotion. That's what makes these conferences so epic, that people can be themselves because they know that they're in a safe space and a safe share space where we can share our thoughts and not be judged, and in fact be supported in in contrast, really.
Yeah. And I always worry that, is this like, this eternal energy is going to come on? Is it going to be too hard on people? Is it going to be too like boom, But it is. We need a big bong to wake us up and get us into the higher resonance, to empower us to be our own true, sovereign, powerful beings that we are, and that we can do all kinds of things together on this planet, with the planet, for the planet, and each other. It's just a beautiful thing that's happening, and it's all mixed together, and they can't stop this train. It's already going down the tracks. So yeah, we're going to keep that going. And I'd like to play you one of my conscious songs, and it's called "Is It Enough?" appropriately.